Again with another review. And some time ago, couple videos back, I mentioned that I was going to maybe think about doing a redo a video that I did before because the audio quality was bad. And I'm going to do one of them now, as I'm going to redo the video of the Bad News Bears movie series. And the reason why I'm doing that is because any of you who have seen it before know the audio quality is bad. So I'm going to, after we record this video, I'm going to take that one down and re-upload this one. And I'm going to try to get through all three films fast, because I know it's over half an hour. I'm going to get through it now. Try and get through all three now. If not, then I have to do it in two videos. I'm not going to redo the 2005 remake of the Bad News Bears starring Billy Bob Thornton because I thought that movie was awful. I saw it once, I thought it was terrible. So I'm going to concentrate on the three original films of the original trilogy that took place in the 70s. Now I'm going to start with naturally, of course, the first film. The first Bad News Bears film came out in 1976. Yeah, 39 years ago. And it starred Walter Matthau, Tatum O'Neal, and Rick Morrow, along with Jackie Earle Haley. And the original film was a surprising. I don't know how much money it made in the box office because I was only 5 years old myself at the time, so I didn't really follow that stuff that closely. It became a hit and became two sequels after that. And it was back in the time when most sports films did not become a big hit. Of course, the same year that the original Bad News Bears movie came out, you also have Rocky came out the same year. So of course, sports movies were kind of like a big thing back then, but it still wasn't making a boatload of money. But the first one became kind of like a cult favorite. I should say a cult favorite. The first one, of course, like I said, starred Walter Matthau as this washed-up former minor league ball player who was drunk like 3/4 of the time. He was drunk as a skunk, and he got roped into coaching a little league baseball team. And the league was what was featured in the film was the North Valley League. I don't know if it's a made-up league or an actual league that they used and they used a name for in the movie. It was based in L.A. And there's no real explanation as to why Walter Matthau's character was picked to coach this league, or he was actually technically hired. Because it was paid off by a local councilman, and because his son did not make the team, or didn't make a Pacific team, he didn't make any teams in that league. So what he did was he sued this team because knowing that he didn't make it, but other kids who he felt should be playing, uh, they got cut. And the reason why they got cut, of course, we're going to find out why, is because the team sucked. And of course, the councilman was mad that his son didn't make a team, so he sued the league. And so now they were pretty much forced to make this new team. And it's called on the 17th team in this league, which was called the Bears. And of course, other teams in the league were called other names from other major league teams. Well, the Bears are the only team in this particular league that was featured in the movie that was not based on major league. Was not called the same name as the major league team was. And of course, he got not only got roped in, but he also got paid by this particular councilman. He was paid by Piazza. The councilman was paid by Ben Piazza, and he was paying Walter Matthau's character off. His name was Buttermaker. He was paying Buttermaker off to coach this team, even though he didn't want to. So he pretty much right away you meet the team practically right almost within like the first 5 minutes. You meet the whole team and you see why this team was never, or these players were never picked for a team in this league because of the old stink. Of course, you had Tanner, who was the most infamous character on this team because he was a racist little punk ass brat, pretty much. You also had Engelberg, who was a fat catcher. You had Ogilvy, who was like the nerd. He knows all these stats, but he couldn't play for this whole Dependon. Well, it's like Dependon. You also had Ahmad Abdul Rahim, who was the token. Not only was he the token black character on the movie, but he also was the token Muslim in this movie because now he won the first movie during the championship game. He says, "This one's for Allah. This one way out there, sucker." Of course, like in the '70s, it was acceptable, but nowadays, if they had a line like that in a movie today, after 9/11, uh, it's not going to be acceptable nowadays. That time it was, and that time it was. Um, you also had two Mexican kids who couldn't speak a word of English, and you also had a Jewish pitcher, Woody Stein, who was a Jewish pitcher who was like kind of geeky, kind of a dork, but he could pitch. He couldn't pitch it for Am at all because he was also a lousy pitcher. So of course, after a few days of practices, they finally played an actual game against the Yankees. And they were managed by Vic Morrow, who died like 5 years after this movie, while he was making the Twilight Zone movie. He died, and of course they got blown out 26-0. And of course, Bottleneck is trying to say, "Oh, how can I help this team out?" Because I know these kids could, given a chance. I mean, they could play. Uh, so they got Tam O'Neill, who we knew because Walter Matthau used to date Tam O'Neill's mother in the course of the film. Karen's name was Amanda, so he dated Amanda's mother, and of course he convinced her to join the team, and of course she was pitching, and of course he also had eventually got Kelly Leak, who was the best player in the whole area with this league, is from. Walter Matthau eventually got him on the team as the best hitter, so now you got a home run hitter plus an outstanding pitcher. And of course, eventually they started winning games, and of course eventually they played the Yankees in the championship game for this league. And I'm not going to give away the ending, but of course, this is just like in the original Rocky. Rocky didn't win the first game, so in the first fight, a major fight at the end of the film, neither did the Bears. Okay, spoiler: the Bad News Bears lost to the Yankees in the championship game at the end of the movie, and a good chunk of the end of this film centered on the championship game, which is surprising because they pretty much rushed through the season, and they got to the championship game and they won, or sorry, say the Bears lost. But of course, the very first Bears movie, shows the good and bad side of Little League. There's a particular moment in the championship game, which I want to go into, where Engelberg, who was the fat catcher on the team, hits a double, or ground rule double, and at that point he flips the finger to the pitcher, and the pitcher happened to be the son of Vic Morrow's character in the movie, and the pitcher threatened him, said, "Look, if you do that again, I'm going to shave the finger off if you do that again." Well, but the kid Engelberg comes up the second time, the second at bat, and he hit a ball that just went foul for a it had home run distance, but he pulled a foul, or Engelberg did, and so it's going to come over the next pitch. Of course, Engelberg flips in the finger the second time. So of course, when the pitcher did was he threw one literally right over his head, like a beanball. Something like John Drysdale or Bob Gibson would throw a beanball at him. So Vic Morrow comes out and says, "You trained him, didn't you?" And he said, "No, I just got away," and he slaps him. And he said, don't you ever, do that." And said, because he wanted him to throw a pitch on, low and away. He wanted to pitch him, down the middle, throw low and away. But as soon as Engelberg flipped him off the second time in this game, he threw one in his head. So of course he got mad, and when Engelberg did hit, I'm not going to tell you what happened, but as soon as the incident happened after that, Uh, the pitcher walked off the field, and that was it. Quit right there on the spot. Well, after the success of the first movie, naturally, of course, you gotta have a sequel. And the sequel came out the very next year, and it was called The Bad News Bears in Breaking Training. Now, what bothered me about the whole three Bad News Bears films is that you had different coach in each one of the three films, and because for some reason Walter Matthau never came back to do the other two sequels. I don't know. I don't know why. Because it's kind of like an unknown mystery. I don't know why Walter Matthau's character never came back from the other two films, knowing that he never came back, but Tam O'Neill's character never came back. And throughout the course of the three films, there were a couple of other characters who never came back for the other two films either. There was a redhead kid named Reggie, who was the original third baseman in the first film. He never came back for the other two films either. Uh, but there were some kids who stayed there for the whole three films. Like Kelly Leak stayed there for the three films. Engelberg, Toby Whitewood stayed there. I think at least one of the Mexican kids stayed there for all three films. Well, both Mexican kids came back for the second one. Uh, and Ogilvy stayed there for all three movies. And of course, Ahmad Abdul, the Ahmad character, he stayed there all three films. But like Tanner, the Tanner character, I guess he got tired of it. He was not in the third film, which we're going hopefully get to. The second movie came out in 1977, which is titled "The Bad News Bears in Breaking Training." Now, the premise of this movie was that the team, the Bears, were going to travel to Houston to play a team in Texas Little League team. Who all the players were like twice the size of the Bears players were. And the winner of that is a charity game. It was going to be a three inning game in between a doubleheader of in the Houston Astrodome. And the winner of winner of that game was going to go play in a team in Japan, which is of course eventually going to be the premise of the third film. The the original coach was Dolph Sweet from the television series Give Me a Break, and he was kind of like a dictator almost. And when the team decided to kick his rear end out, they said, "Okay, who are we going to have a coach?" And they finagled, and they bullshit all their parents, saying, "Hey, we're going to have this idiot for a coach. We're going to have this guy as our coach, even though he was a complete idiot." It's kind of like mildly retarded, and he couldn't even talk at all. Remember, they got him to say hi and how are you, and they got this van and drove all the way from L.A. to Houston. And when they get to Houston, that's when they don't have a coach. So Kelly Lee, the Jackie Earl Haley character, says, "Oh, I knew somebody in Houston," and they get into trouble in the hotel they were in. I'm not going to say how. But of course, the Bears being the Bad News Bears, of course, they're going to get into trouble wherever they go. And so Kelly goes out to this factory and he gets William Devane, who plays Kelly's father, Michael Lee. No relation to the real life baseball player Mike Lee, who's currently playing in the major leagues now. And he asks him, "Hey, can you coach my team?" He said, "How long is it going to be?" "It's going to be till Sunday." So okay, I'm doing you a favor. I'll help you out. So of course, we eventually find out why they have bad blood between these two guys, between Kelly and his father. And the reason is because his father left him and his mother 8 years earlier. I guess the parents got divorced or something, and the father abandons them. So of course there was hatred there, and then of course the hatred builds and builds and builds until of course you had an eruption during a practice. And then of course they had a big talk, and then this pool hall said, "Look, still being mad at me is not going to change what happened 8 years ago. It's not going to change what happened between us. And this is about something else." And that's talking out. And he said, "If you didn't need a coach," William Devane asked Kelly this question: "If you didn't need a coach, would you have looked me up?" and Kelly at the time didn't answer. And of course, actually, the big thing is he actually had the game, and the game was actually filmed in the Astrodome, which is, of course, has pretty much been abandoned. I mean, the stadium is still there, but it's falling apart. It's not being used by anybody. Unfortunately, I don't know if it should be declared a landmark because it's the first dome stadium in the United States. So it should be, protected and fixed up or whatever it is. But they play the game, and there's something that happens in this game. They get canceled halfway. They play like 2 innings. They're supposed to play. I think they're supposed to actually play a 4 inning game. But halfway through the game, because of 2 innings, the Houston team scored like five runs in the 2 innings. But because they took too long, uh, they canceled the rest of the game. Remember, they fought it, and of course Tanner, who was the racist kid. Uh, Another thing that's current in Brandon's Bears movie they should mention is a different picture in every movie. You first have Tam O'Neill, then you had Jimmy Bayo in the second film, and then they went back to the original picture, which was Rudy Stein from the third film. In the second film, of course, the picture was Italian. So Tannis called him a, normally have a WAP on the team, a derogatory term for, Italians. I guess maybe that's probably why the actor who played Tanner didn't want to do the third film because he got tired of, because he's got a label, he couldn't get another part. I don't think it's even, most of the actors who were in the Brandon Spears movies, the majority of them stopped acting. Um, Particularly Tanner. I think Tanner is still alive today, but he refuses to talk about his experiences on the Brandon Spears because, of course, he got labeled and typecast as a racist little punk. Because he keep making all these racial remarks, anti-Semitic, anti-racial remarks. Look at these Jews, bigs, niggers, pansies, and a burger-eating moron. And in the second movie, he made anti-Italian remarks. So anyway, he stayed on the field, and I think the security was chasing him around the field. And of course, the fans, the people in the state, in the Astrodome, picked up on, and all trying to let them play, let them play. And of course, it was remade in the 2002 All-Star game, Major League All-Star game in Milwaukee, because they did the same thing. The fans were trying to let them play because the game ended up in a tie. Anyway, because they had a near riot there, they did start the rest of the game, and of course, this time the Bengals Bears came on top. What was ironic was it had almost a similar ending than the ending in the first film was. And I'm gonna see what the ending was and how the games of the two games ended. You know, you gotta see the movies. But of course, what happens is, of course, Kelly says, "Okay, if I didn't need a coach, I would have looked you up." Big, a real stereotypical Hollywood ending. Well, of course, since the two movies were successful, and also not only that, but we also had a Brandon Bears television series at the same time as well. I think it was most of the episodes were on YouTube. I think at least when they did the first time we did it, talked about the Brandon Bears movies. I think it's still up on YouTube now. I have no idea. You can look up the television show as well. So naturally, of course, they gotta make a third film, and the third film came out a year later, 1978. And thankfully, this was the last Brandon Bears movie until, of course, till the remake came out in 2005. This movie, which was titled "The Bad News Bears Go to Japan," is a god awful piece of shit mess from beginning to end. Of course, what happened is, of course, Tony Curtis, who plays this TV executive, decides he was like a loser. This guy, the Tony Curtis character, he was a big fat loser, and his career was like winding down. He was like a failure. He was a loser TV producer, and he wanted to uh, try and restart or kickstart his career. And then he found out from a television news story that the Bears, for some reason, the game that they supposed to play a team in Japan, all of a sudden, for some reason, got canceled because of expenses or whatever the hell, whatever the reason was. Uh, and the Japanese team wasn't interested in it or in playing the team, even though they arranged to play this exhibition game against the American League team, against the American Little League team versus a team in Japan. All of a sudden, the original deal fell through after the Astrodome game. So the team was trying to get this idea to restore because they earned the trip to Japan and they earned the right to play this Japanese team, but for some reason the deal fell through. So Tony Curtis had an idea he could get the TV executives at ABC to maybe sponsor this game and to broadcast this thing. So he sets up this bogus deal, and unlike the first two Bad News Bears movies, this one he didn't really focus on the game all that much. They focused on all the side deals and all the other crap, all the other no, I don't want to say crap, but all the other crazy stuff that goes on in Japan, like the crazy game shows and the wrestling, and also, by the way, look for a cameo by Antonio Inoki. For those of you who don't know who Antonio Inoki is, he was the guy who uh, had a famous match with Muhammad Ali, a boxer versus wrestler match with Muhammad Ali. So you look, and he actually had a match with Tony Curtis, and Tony Curtis got his ass kicked. The most annoying character in this film was not only all the crap that Tony Curtis was doing, but also Ahmad's little baby brother came in, and he was the most annoying little character uh, in this film. He was annoying, he was pathetic, and all that stuff. So they actually did play one actual game, but the Bears got the bus kicked. So what the TV execs did, they got three new players. They got like a shortstop, got a pitcher, and I think a catcher. I think. And what happened was it was like beanball incident in the game. There was one game where a Japanese player hit one of the uh, one of the ringers. I've got a tip from it. One of the ringers hits him in the back. Of course, in traditional Japanese baseball, if a pitcher hits a batter, and if they tip their cap, that means they didn't do it on purpose. If they don't tip their cap, that means they did it on purpose. So of course the rest of the Bears knew about, but not the ringers. They knew about this thing. The Japanese pitchers do. So one of the ringers got hit, and he got mad. What happened was one of the ringer pitcher hit one of the Japanese players. And of course, in retaliation, the Japanese pitcher hit one of the ringers, and of course, the pitcher tipped his cap. And when the batter didn't buy it and towards the mound, he had a fight. And because of the fight, they canceled the rest of the game. And of course, what happened was the manager for the Japanese team he ended up getting fired. And what they did was they went to some satellite in Japan and they played the rest of the game. And the TV execs got mad and said, "Hey, we should have filmed the show told us." I said, "What should we tell you guys for? You guys stiff me." And the guys are saying to cancel the game and all that stuff. And so we played the game, and we're not going to play the stupid game for you guys, for your benefit. We did it for the kids' benefit. And so of course the TV execs got mad, PO'd at him. And of course the funny thing is, if you look at one of the TV execs in the Bad News Bears Go to Japan, he originally played one of the opposing coaches or one of the opposing managers in the original film, in the original Bears film. And not only that, but he played Dr. Shapiro in All in the Family, in a couple of episodes of All in the Family. But this film was the Bad News Bears Go to Japan was a piece of crap film. Recently, back a couple months ago, it was one of the local over-the-air TV stations that shows movies all day long. I think it was This TV. Uh, it was like an over-the-air TV. It was like an over-the-air old movies channel. They showed baseball movies all day long when the baseball season started. And they showed the Bad News Bears going to Japan. I said, "Oh, I haven't seen this one in a long time. Let me see it. I'm gonna watch this thing." And then I realized how bad this third movie was. I mean, it was so bad. Uh, it's a movie that they shouldn't have made, but was made anyway. Uh, well, like I said, I'm going to review the 2005 movie remake because the 2005 remake was so bad that it makes the Bad News Bears Going to Japan look like an Oscar-winning film. Because I like in the first one when they're talking about like Pizza Hut and McDonald's, but they should mention the biggest laugh in Bad News Bears Going to Japan was when after the team landed in Japan, they drove from the airport to the hotel and they passed by a Japanese McDonald's. That's how bad the Bad News Bears Going to Japan is. If seeing a Japanese McDonald's gets a big laugh. Um, like I said, they showed McDonald's and Burger King throughout the three films, but in the remake, Billy Bob Thornton took the team to Hooters. I mean, I don't mind going to Hooters, but that's my taste. But to take a little league team to Hooters, I mean, it was ridiculous. So that's my review of the Bad News Bears series. Please click on the video, please rate it, please subscribe to my channel, and please forward this video onto your Facebook pages. And plus, you can check out all my videos on rallyc.com. That's ROWDY, rallyc.com. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.